Everyone laughed when the Chinese billionaire mocked the black waiter, until he replied in Chinese. The private dining room at the Grand Renaissance Hotel was silent save for the clinking of silverware and the low, intense conversation of power brokers. This was the final dinner between Quantum Dynamics and a major Chinese investment firm, Tanaka Capital, led by the inscrutable and immensely wealthy Mr. Kenji Tanaka. A 9-figure deal was on the line. The man serving the table was Jeremiah J. Davis. Jay was a 6'4" figure of quiet dignity, moving silently between the high-backed chairs, ensuring glasses were filled and courses were presented flawlessly. He needed this job to pay for his night classes in global trade and linguistics. The atmosphere was already strained. Mr. Tanaka was notoriously demanding and dismissive of service staff. As Jay reached to clear the soup bowls, Tanaka looked at Jay, then deliberately turned to his translator, Ms. Lin, and began speaking in rapid, fluent Mandarin. Tell the Quantum CEO that the structure of their collateral is deeply flawed, Tanaka said in Chinese. Also, tell me, he continued, tilting his head toward Jay. What is this establishment thinking, hiring this kind of help? He moves like a bull and looks like he just crawled out of a back alley. His large, dark presence is disturbing the flow of the qi at this table. It's truly a stain on the hotel's reputation. Ms. Lin, who was struggling to keep her composure, nervously translated the first, business-related sentence, but she wisely omitted Tanaka's second, brutal assessment of Jay. Tanaka noticed the hesitation and smiled thinly. He knew he was being rude in a way that was both subtle and protected by the language barrier. He pointedly waited for Jay to refill his water glass. When Jay leaned in, Tanaka, speaking directly to him in a slow, patronizing English, said, "You are new, yes? You must try to walk quieter. Like a cat, not like an elephant." Jay simply gave a polite, professional nod and stepped away to the serving cart. Tanaka turned to the Quantum CEO, Mr. Vance, and spoke to him in English for the sake of the Americans. "I apologize for the distraction. Your staff here is quite noticeable. In Beijing, we prefer our help to be invisible. But back to business. Your proposed equity split, I find it highly questionable." He then returned to his Mandarin, directing a new set of instructions to his translator, but not before delivering a final, stinging commentary on the waiter. "Look at him," Tanaka chuckled in Chinese, nodding toward Jay's broad back. "He's probably dreaming about stealing one of these fancy forks. He has the look of a hungry wolf watching the sheep. Make sure you don't leave your briefcase unattended, Ms. Lin." This time, several of Tanaka's own delegation nervously laughed, knowing the cruel joke being made about the oblivious waiter. The sound was sharp, ugly, and designed to humiliate Jay. Setting down a platter of expensive Chilean sea bass, stopped dead. He placed the platter down with careful precision, straightened his vest, and turned to face Mr. Tanaka. A profound silence descended upon the private room. Thicker and heavier than the finest velvet, Jay looked directly at the billionaire. And then, in perfectly modulated, fluent Mandarin, he replied, "Tanaka Xianxing, nin kuo lu, wabushi zaixiang tu nin dachatsi. Wa zaixiang, rugua nin deguchuan jegoxiang nin dui rin depingjia yang tsutsao. Namezha by jiaoizong e kaisher josher ji zainan." The effect was instantaneous and electrifying. Ms. Lin gasped, dropping her pen. The entire Tanaka delegation went rigid, their mocking smiles dissolving into horrified shock. Jay, the silent waiter, had just said, in their native language, "Mr. Tanaka, you are mistaken. I am not thinking about stealing your forks. I am thinking that if your equity structure is as crude as your assessment of people, then this deal was a disaster from the start." The Quantum CEO, Mr. Vance, looked from Jay to the stunned Mr. Tanaka, utterly confused. Tanaka, now pale, recovered quickly, but his composure was shattered. You speak Mandarin?" he stammered in English. His voice tight, Jay smiled. A calm, knowing smile that finally unveiled his true intelligence. "I speak Mandarin, Cantonese, and Japanese, sir," Jay replied, still using perfect Mandarin. 我是在 YGAO 家听讲的 Binky 我有东亚研究的学历 我现在在这里工作 是为了夫妻我的语言学位研究 关于东西方谈判战略的比较研究 He then switched back to clear, devastating English for the benefit of the American delegation. And Mr. Vance, Jay continued, addressing the Quantum CEO directly, while setting your table, I overheard Mr. Tanaka's untranslated comment regarding your collateral structure. He believes the risk assessment on the Beijing Tech Park is based on outdated tax information from 2018, which is incorrect following the recent regulatory changes. He is using this perceived weakness to demand an extra 5% equity. The Quantum CEO's eyes widened. That information is critical. We thought the tax data was current. Jay nodded, pulling a small notebook and pen from his vest. I updated my notes on the regulatory changes last week. The new depreciation schedule actually makes your collateral worth 12% more than what Mr. Tanaka is using for his calculation. He gently pushed the notebook toward the CEO. Please, sir, I recommend you use the revised Q3 depreciation figures, not the old ones. It will negate his leverage. The Quantum CEO looked at Jay, then at the sputtering Mr. Tanaka, then at the complex figures Jay had instantly scribbled down. He had just received 9 figures of free, perfect consultation from his waiter.mr. Vance stood up and clapped Jay on the shoulder. Jeremiah Davis, you just saved this company. He looked at Tanaka, whose arrogance had turned to ash. Mr. Tanaka, the negotiation is over. We will use the updated Q3 figures provided by Mr. Davis. No extra equity. Tanaka, publicly exposed and professionally defeated, had no choice but to accept. The embarrassment was total. His mockery hadn't just failed. It had cost him millions in equity and exposed his deceptive negotiating tactics.mr. Vance turned to Jay. You are relieved of waiting duties, Mr. Davis. As of tonight, you are officially the Director of Global Strategy and Negotiation. Your first task is to secure your new salary, which will be double what Mr. Tanaka makes in insults. Jay took off his hotel vest and folded it neatly. He nodded to Mr. Vance, then turned back to Mr. Tanaka, giving him a final, professional salute in Mandarin. Wehen rongxing wei nin taigong fuwu, Tanaka xianxing. Zhu nin lu tu yuquai. I am honored to have served you, Mr. Tanaka. Have a pleasant journey. And with the contract saved and the bully silenced, Jeremiah walked out of the private room, his serving career over, and his global career just beginning.